Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful night's sleep, and I hope you had really nice dreams. I sure did. It was wonderful. I slept throughout the entire night. It was great. Today, I wanted to talk to you about how people interpret the Bible differently depending on their average resonating level. Dr. Bruce Schneider, I think he's a doctor, but he invented or discussed a process or developed a process in coaching using the average resonating level of the individual. And he was able to do a study that showed that if you could raise your average resonating level by a half a percentage point, by half a point, you could increase your financial ability by 20%. That's how important these are. Now, what do I mean by average resonating level? Now, L. Ron Hubbard, he interpreted these things or described these things as emotional tones. Emotional tones. And he created a chart that is able to predict human behavior based on their emotional tones. The interesting thing about the emotional tones and what Dr. Bruce Schneider calls the self-perception chart, or the or anabolic and catabolic energy frequencies, that they're in line with a chakra, which is interesting. The major lines of chakra. There's chakra that run throughout the entire body. We have thousands of them. We don't have just the major 7 ones that people mostly refer to, that run up and down the center of the body. But that is also in line with the tree of life in Kabbalah, the Sephiroth. And as a person proceeds up the Sephiroth, then they interpret the world and the universe differently because they're resonating at a different frequency. Now, how do these things show up on the earth? And how do they show up? Well, level 1 is apathy or depression. Level 2 is anger. Level 3 is conservatism, or what we could call responsibility. Now, and as we go up through these levels, 1 through 7, I'll go through them in a little more detail, but I just want to get you to understand that these different frequencies, when people resonate at these, they interpret the world differently. You see, level 1 would interpret the world as they're a victim. Level 2 would interpret the world as the enemy. Level 3 would be more likely to try to get cooperation and understanding the things that are going on in the world. Level 4 would be someone who would be inclined to help others and see the world as as a place where they could do good and be of service. You see, so all these different levels, people would read the Bible and they would read them according to those specific levels. Deepak Chopra wrote a really good book called How to Know God, and he explains this really, really well in there. And these are all in line with the energy levels, with all these different philosophies and technologies. They're all in line, and so kind of tells you a little bit of something. So over the when I'm reading the book of Genesis, as I was going through it, I was understanding it in different ways as my energy levels rose, as my faith increased. Also, as your faith increases, your energy frequencies shift too. Okay. Now, there's nothing good or bad about these different energy frequencies. They're just ways of being and ways of showing up in the world. Where we run into problems is when we get stuck in any of those areas. Okay. We should strive to get to the point where we can be increased to level 7, to where we can interpret the world any way that is necessary and appropriate for what's going on at the time. Okay, and that we can have proper responses for all those situations that are going on. And when I say proper responses, I'm talking about the greatest good across the greatest number of dynamics. Okay, the greatest good. All right. So, as we're moving along here, we talked about in the book of Genesis how are the view from the spiritual point of view that that the creation was describing the unified field. Okay, scientifically, the firmament is the unified field, and that all of the physical universe appears from that. Okay, and that on the firmament there's one side that has waters, and on the firmament there's another side of that has waters. One represents the spiritual or the wave form, and the other side represents the physical particle form. Okay, but I wanted to take another look at this and give you another idea on how to visualize what's occurring here in these creation moments. So, this is going to blow your mind. In the beginning of God's creating, let me put on my visual enhancement glasses so I can see more clearly. In the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth, when the earth was astonishingly empty, with darkness upon the surface of the deep, and the divine presence hovered above the surface of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Okay. Visualize the face of the deep. When the divine presence hovered upon the surface of the waters. Think of the divine presence as the sperm. And think of the surface of the waters as the egg. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated between the light and the darkness, and called to the light day, and to the darkness he called night. And there was evening and the morning one day. Okay. Now I want you to take it. Imagine this for a moment. Okay. That the sperm is approaching the egg, but it can't see it because it's void. It's dark. And then God said, let there be light. So its presence started beaming light. And there was light. Okay, so we're going to say that the sperm started vibrating at a frequency to where it began to illuminate. Okay? And God called to the light day, and to the darkness he called night, and there was evening and the morning the first day. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate between the waters and the waters. All right. So when God said, let there be light, the egg also began to resonate at a specific frequency, to where it became translucent. It began transmitting, it began glowing and becoming light. Now, there's the idea that the sperm is forcing its way into the egg. You know, the people who look at the Bible or look at the world as a place where it's violent, and they think of men as being violent, and the proof is in the sperm fighting its way into the egg. And all of these beings coming from the man are violently attacking the egg and forcing its way into it. That's not the way it occurs. Why one sperm is only allowed to enter into the egg is because the egg and the sperm are vibrating at a harmonic frequency. The egg is vibrating at a harmonic, and the sperm is vibrating. That one guy is vibrating at a specific frequency, and their harmonious union allows that one sperm to enter, because none of the other ones can enter, right? Only the one that is vibrating at the same frequency as the egg. You see? So it's not a violent thing. She sings a song and calls the sperm to it, because he sees the light and she sees the light, and it's good. And they freely accept each other. And as God enters into the firmament, it separates into the waters. It is now moving from outside the waters to the inside of the waters, where it separates. Now, they don't talk about this too much in biology, but the sperm actually dissolves inside the egg. It becomes unified with it. It becomes the water inside the egg. So let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate between the waters and the waters. Now, what's going on inside the egg once this happens is that the firmament begins to form between this, in that one cell that is created. The firmament is formed to separate the waters, and it becomes two. right? So God made the firmament and separated between the waters which were beneath the firmament and the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and there was evening and morning the second day. Okay. So as we're looking at this, we can look at it as the point of where the egg becomes fertilized and God begins to separate in the firmament, inside the waters that are inside the egg. And as we continue, it said, let the waters beneath the heaven be gathered together into one area, and let the dry land appear. So we talked earlier that as, inside the egg, what is starting to form there is things. Things are starting to form. Interesting, isn't it? So, and as we go on and we continue to describe this, I want you to imagine what is happening inside the egg as these things are being formed, and how that the solidness of things, and you can, the earth, we think of the solidness of things, and then the water, is that's in between, and that separates the things. Okay. And this is all going on inside the egg. And it said, and as we continue, that let the waters beneath the heaven be gathered into one area, and let the dry land appear. Let the things start to appear. As the cells continue to divide, they start to create things, organs, bones, cartilage, blood cells, all of these things. And God called the dry land earth, and gathered together in the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, herbage yielding seed, fruit trees yielding fruit after its kind, containing its own seed on the earth. And it was so. So we know that cells have the information and the DNA to create other cells that are just like it, that are exactly like it. They're containing the seed within themselves, your DNA. Interesting, huh? I know, isn't it crazy? All right. And it was so, and the earth brought forth vegetation, herbage yielding seed after its kind, and tree yielding fruit, and containing its seed after its kind. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening, and this morning, and there was a third day. So by the third day, we have all these things. We have all of the makings of a potential human. And all of these things that they're describing here, the fruit and the vegetables and all of those things are all coming first, right? All these necessary things that make the foundation. And then, as we keep going, there was evening and the morning of third day. We'll keep going into the division of the let there be luminaries in the firmament of heaven to separate between the day and the night, and they shall serve as signs and for festivals and for days and years, and they shall serve as luminaries in the firmament of heaven to shine upon the earth. And it was so. Now this is where, as we're going on the egg analogy, as creating the human being, this is where the egg begins to, or the fetus begins to develop a consciousness of its own. the greater luminary and the lesser luminary. See, the mother is the greater luminary. And then they begin to separate, and now they have an individual consciousness. Each one has a consciousness of its own as we continue to move through this. And the mother, the greater one will be able to dominate herself. And then the lesser luminary begins to dominate itself. One to dominate the day and one to dominate the night. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. See, the mother is still shining. The mother is still nurturing the fetus. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, to dominate by day, and to separate between the light and the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening and morning the fourth day. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that really that cool? I know. Yeah, Ken, you're kind of speaking a little crazy here because nobody else has ever seen this before. But that's okay. It's just a way. Who knows? Am I right or wrong? I don't know. It's just a way of looking at things based on my own average resonating level. So let the waters be teeming with living creatures and fowls that fly over the expanse of the heavens. And God created sea giants and every living being that creeps within the waters, teeming after their kind, and the winged fowl of every kind. And God saw that it was good, and he blessed them, saying, being fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas. But the fowl shall increase on earth. And there was evening, and there was morning the fifth day. Okay, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to look in your blood, but it's teeming with a bunch of creatures in there, and lots of really, really interesting things. And when you think about what they're describing here too, and in the concept of what's going on in the human body, and as part of creating human beings, you can begin to make these connections with the divineness and the awesomeness of that. It's really, really, really cool. And then God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures, each according to its kind, animal and creepy things, and beast of the land according to its kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, and the animals according to its kind, and creepy things being of the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. So, and we're gonna stop there for now. But the reason why I'm telling you the story this way is because I want you to get the idea. I'm telling the story this way because I want you to get the idea that people interpret the Bible in so many different ways, and it all depends on what their average resonating level is. Okay? Now, whether their interpretation of the Bible is right or wrong, it really doesn't matter. What matters is how they apply it to their lives on the earth. And while they're experiencing and showing up on the earth, how do they apply the Word of God there? See? Because you can apply the Word of God as a weapon, and you can use it as a justification to murder people all over the planet. Because God said, only these blessed people should be on the planet, and everybody else are bad, infidels, sinners, non-tongue speakers, tongue speakers. They're not saved, and they should be destroyed. Or we can interpret the Bible as something as a tool to be used to help us live better lives and live in harmony with each other. To interpret the Bible in such a way to where you say, hey, We are all connected. We are all light beings from God. We are all family. We shouldn't be fighting with each other. We should get along. We should learn how to work with our differences, be accepting of each other's resonating level. Now, we can make choices on the intimacy that we want to have with people that are resonating at different levels. We don't have to hang around with angry people all the time. No, I don't like to hang around with angry people or depressed people or, and some of you who are angry, depressed, do you want to hang around somebody who's happy all the time? You know how annoying those people are? Everything is, they're always looking at the good side of everything. You could be having it right in the middle of a car accident and bleeding and having broken arms and stuff like that. And they'll say, well, at least you're going to get a new car out of it. So, yeah. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say here is that we recognize how people interpret the Bible. Read the book that was written by Deepak Chopra on how to know God, and that'll give you another idea on how people interpret the scriptures. It's really, really, he explains it really, really, really good. And I hope you like it. And thank you for listening. And I hope that your day is filled with love and joy. And until we meet again, I wish you well.